everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we're so excited today. We have another author interview. We love talking with authors on the podcast. And today we have Audrey Lancho here. And thank you, Audrey, so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk about my book.
Yeah, a new book, The Silver Lining. And we're going to talk about that. But before we do it, this is your first time on the podcast. We want to get a chance to get to know you. And so tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started writing.
Okay, well, got started writing very, very young. I was that elementary school kid that was writing stories for my teacher and handing them into her. As far as novel writing, I actually got bit by a genealogy bug. So I'll come back to that in a second. So sometimes several people are probably listening. They're like, that happened to me too. You find out something about an ancestor and you just want to keep digging and figuring it out. And that's how I wrote my first novel, which was horrible. It's still a file on my old computer somewhere that will never see the light of day. But it taught me a lot of lessons. But that happened shortly before my first son was born. I was living in Spain at the time. My husband is from Spain. And we met in college and moved to his country after we got married. And like I said, my dad said, hey, I'm on Ancestry.com. Why don't you dig around a little bit? And I did, and ended up writing that first novel and got a ton of rejections. And then I found romance. And that is basically the long story short of why we're talking today.
Yeah. So, yeah, I noticed your first book it looked like a Regency.
It is actually a Victorian rom-com. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So it's called 7 Days at Mannerly. The second one in that series is coming out in November. That was my first book deal. Yeah, that one was with a small press out of South Carolina. And it's a funny, quirky book. I read it now and I'm like, wow, I don't even know how I came up with this stuff.
So you are going to continue to write historical fiction as well?
I'm going to do both, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's against the advice, right?
Mm-hmm.
They say pick a lane. I can't pick a lane.
No, I get that. I really do. I get that. I mean, I would think as a writer, I mean, you'd get more of an audience, expand who's reading. I don't know.
Yes, but there are those that say the audience doesn't go with you. And just looking at just data like newsletter clicks, my contemporaries do way better.
Oh, interesting.
So I think I'll stay contemporary heavy. I have another indie contemporary series called Hollybrook, and it's on Amazon. But I'm writing the third one now, and I think I'll just keep that going. I got a good thing going with that.
Okay, good.
Now with Harpeth Road. So
yeah. So were you always interested in romance?
Yes.
Reading romance?
Yes. I always thought a movie or book was boring if there was no love story. There had to be some element of love. I love love. I love watching characters fall in love.
Well, it's really interesting because romance is having such a moment in the publishing space. It's really dominating. And I'm just curious, why do you think that is? Why do you think that people are so drawn to it right now?
I wonder if has something to do, and this could be off base, but aren't we so lonely now?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think?
Yeah. No, there's that whole study about the epidemic of loneliness.
Yeah. And, you need a friend. You pick up a contemporary romance. Every character has a bestie in there that they're spending time with, they're getting coffee with, and then, the meet cute, and people are out in society doing things with each other. And so it partly could be the loneliness. It could also be after the pandemic, just wanting to feel good.
Yeah.
I know also I edit for a literary agency, and a lot of the editors that we talk to were like, don't send us anything dark and gloomy. Don't send us anything that mentions COVID, because they wanted an escape. They wanted people to have a feel good moment after everything that we went through collectively as a society.
Yeah, I think that romance is inherently hopeful. It always ends with a happy ending.
Yes.
So
that's what I like to say about my books. I really love fellow North Carolinian Nicholas Sparks. I love the movies. I love the books. Hi, Nick, if you're watching, we can be friends. Like, why not? But
I could feel that in Silver Lining.
Okay,
I can feel that. Yeah.
Huge
that influence.
I do bring in the grief and tragedy like he does, but mine are happy endings. Sometimes they're
Uh-huh.
not. That's the difference.
Yeah. Most of the time it's like, okay, when's the cancer coming?
Yes. When does the bomb hit?
Those
When does
five.
this all get
Yeah.
bad?
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Would you say that you are a pantser or a plotter as a
Plotter.
writer?
Plotter.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely a plotter. Yeah, I have to know what happens at 25, 50, and 75%. They all have to be big things. And the 75% thing has to be a wow, mic drop moment. And it has to be lost, and then it has to come back. So, yeah, I completely mold my story around that. I tried to pants one novel, and it got to about 20,000 words. And I don't know what to do with it anymore. It's been sitting on my computer for years, and it was a great concept, and I just hit a wall. It's not for me.
Yeah. I think that it's probably a really good as far as like brainstorming, but then like you have to plan it a little bit. Yeah.
I think so anyway. I
That
can't,
makes sense.
like, I'm not a very good liar. So, like, if I'm having a bad day and you're like, "Oh, how are you?" I can't be like, "Great." You'll see. So I can't keep up with that many lies on the fly. Like, I can't, because fiction really is making up a lie and like
Yeah.
being with it the whole way, so it's
Right.
convincing. And I'm not able to do that. So.
Well, I read the Silver Lining. I really enjoyed it. How did you get the idea for this book?
Being transparent, I really, really wanted to be in with Harpeth Road. I think that what Jenny Hale is doing there it's a Nashville publisher. It's a small press, but I mean, it's growing by leaps and bounds. I think what she's doing is so awesome. I was like, I've got to be on that team. Like, I have to be in with them. So I read a bunch of their books. Like, okay, this is how this is going. This is what she's finding. And I'm just like hyper focused, like, how can I get in with them? And I told my agent and we talked about it. And I just decided to write what I knew, which was my small North Carolina foothills hometown. The types of jobs that people have here are in there. The types of people, I've never actually based a character on people that I know. I've picked up personality traits from lots of people, but lots of those types of people are here. And the story was just born. I'm trying to remember, Rachel, what my first, because I always get a little idea and then I build on that. And I think my first idea was Alzheimer's disease and how it affects, how it takes away from, Farah in the book, people who will read, she works in memory care at a local nursing home, and she works with two elderly or older, patients who've been affected by memory illness like dementia and Alzheimer's. And these are people that she knew previously when they were younger and healthier. And just to, go through the photo book with Miss Janice, who's one of her patients, and see her life, her whole life, in a span. And at the time I was losing my grandmother, not to Alzheimer's, but just looking back at her pictures and being like, man, she was so young and so vibrant and living life so fully, and she never thought that this day would come, where she would pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we all are going to face that. And I think that was my first sentimental nudge there, where I was like, what if I could write a romance with someone who was so exposed to Alzheimer's disease, dementia, and that world? How is that going to affect her character growth? And how is that a reflection of her own personal struggles that she's going through as well? I think that's where it started.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting when you are around people with dementia, the things they do remember is always so surprising. Like
Yes.
a lot of times they will remember the most obscure things from like really little, like they'll remember their like locker number from their, things like that, but they don't know their own children. It's such an interesting phenomenon.
Yes. And it's tough. My great grandmother had Alzheimer's disease and ultimately passed away in a nursing home. I was really young. I can't claim that I was close to that situation. In fact, my grandpa wouldn't take me to the nursing home. They didn't want me to be exposed to that because I was so little. But she still played the piano, and she still remembered her religion, and she still remembered her songs that she used to sing. And I just think there's so much to be said for that there are things that you can never forget. And that's kind of what's at play here in The Silver Lining. How our lives are so important. They're so short, but they're so important.
Well, now you've hinted at it, but why don't you tell the audience a little bit about the book, about what they can expect?
So Farah is my main female character, and she goes through a divorce that she did not want. So people will figure this out in the book, but she actually marries a famous artist. His name is Connor Dunes. And when you think of him, think Thomas Kinkade, like in the 90s. His work was everywhere. Like people had it on mugs, they had it on puzzles. And that's what Connor Dunes' work was. And he was just really famous, and he was a few years older than her, and he just divorces her. So her life is in shambles. She did not expect it. Everything she's known has been turned upside down. So she goes back home to mom and dad, and she starts working at their farm booth, and she works in memory care at the nursing home. So she's picking up the pieces and trying to get back to normal life. And, working at the farm stand, she's like, all right, this will be great. Their parents are full-time farmers. I'll just help here. I'll put myself back together. But she did not expect to run into her old high school boyfriend. His name is
Old Flame.
Yep, the old Flame. And he's a handsome one. He's a good one. Good heart. But I named him James after my son, but everybody calls him Abbott in the book. That's his last name. That's his nickname. And he lost trust in her, because they broke up for teenage reasons, of course. Teenagers. They were 18, dated and broke up. So before college, she thought he lived in the college town that he went to, because that was his life plan, to live and work there. And now suddenly she's running into him at her lowest point, and she's like, oh, I can't deal with this, whatever. But they're kind of thrust together because, of course, they have to be. It's romance, right? But they're trying to help out a neighbor who really needs it. And when you read the book, you'll see the stakes that are there, and helping them out in a way more than they imagine, I think.
Yeah, it was more emotional than I was expecting, the book. In fact, I think you could make an argument that's almost more women's fiction than it is romance. How would you feel about that?
I would take that as a compliment. I want to make the readers feel, definitely.
Yeah. So how did you develop Farah as a character? Like, was that a process of kind of figuring out her, because she has gone through this trauma, but it's also kind of ongoing, the trauma. I don't know, how was that tricky?
I don't really know. Farrah kind of flowed. This book, I poured my heart into it. She's not me,
Mhm.
but I really understood her a lot. And things just kind of, with her, it was easy. There have been other characters for me that have been more difficult to map out, but with
Mhm.
her, everything just kind of matched up. Um, yeah, I think that's what I would say.
Yeah.
She was pretty
Yeah.
easy in that.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Harpeth Road Press and author Savannah Carlyle's new book, The Summer of Starting Over. Callie left her island hometown years ago with big dreams. She knew precisely the star she wanted to be, and she achieved it, at least for a little while. Jesse Thomas had always planned to move to Nashville with Callie, but he was supposed to get there before her, knocking out his first year at Vanderbilt while she was still finishing high school. Neither of them imagined she'd get discovered so early or that family turmoil would put Jesse's family on the brink of financial collapse. He needed to be on Big Dune Island, and she needed to leave. Then all her dreams came crashing down. As she sorts through the wreckage of her career, her uncle Lonnie forces her to return to Big Dune Island to clean out the family home he's recently sold. And she knows she'll have to face Jesse. Pick up The Summer of Starting Over by Savannah Carlyle wherever you purchase your books or use the affiliate link below. That's The Summer of Starting Over by Savannah Carlyle. Add it to your must-reads today. Did you feel at all like this is a bit of a risk to have a character, a divorced character, and in her situation that it's hard a little bit because there's some spoilers in this
Yeah.
book, but did you feel like that was a little bit of a risk having your character be in her situation
Yes,
for your
I
lead?
absolutely did. I risked people starting reading the book and disliking a few things about people in her life. Let's just say that so we don't spoil it.
Yeah.
And saying, what in the world? Why is this person being this way?
Mm-hmm.
And her secret, we'll just call it the secret that she's hiding
Yeah.
is a big one. And it's something about her that she hasn't even told the reader.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's always a risk because you worry about people starting to read and being like, what's going on? And getting upset. But then when the secret drops, everything makes sense. And
yeah.
you realize why she didn't tell you and what she's really been going through. And of course, it's a risk.
Was that tricky writing with all the time jumps, making the timetable and the
Yes.
narrative?
Yes. As a plotter, I had several charts out to
Mm-hmm.
keep track. And then, the Harpeth Road editors are amazing. They hire the best in the business. And they also pointed out some things. They said, well, this year, it would have been COVID. That would have been shut down. You need to change this year. And so I had to work some things around. But just eagle-eyed editors really helped with that for sure.
Yeah. Do you run the risk of the readers being more invested in Farrah and Connor, her ex, than the new relationship? Is that tricky?
Yeah, but I think that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's okay. I think how many people, if your readers could raise their hands, how many people have had multiple relationships or marriages in their life? I'm blessed to say I haven't. I've married one man and we've been in love
Mm-hmm.
for, 13 or
Yeah.
many years. But, there's divorce happens. And I think nowadays we need to move past that idea of, oh, one love always, that's the way it should be. But life is messy and complicated and things
Yeah.
happen. And she gets the chance to fall in love twice. And we get to witness both of those.
Yeah. It's sometimes tricky in like the movie world because if you have if you present two options for our for our leading lady, then it can be hard if the audience feels like, oh shit, so much better chemistry with the one than the other, and that can be tricky to do. Yeah.
The reader knows up front how it ended. From the first
Yeah.
chapter, we know that she got dumped. So
Right.
we know, but there are reasons. The secret that she's hiding about herself, there are reasons that I have to share everything
Mhm.
and tell everything to get to that point, because that's going to help the reader understand her and Abbott as well.
Yeah. Was it hard to write James as a character because you need to make him swoony enough that we're invested, but also not like pushy because she's in this,
Yes,
you know.
and I also didn't want him to be jerked around. There were times
Mm,
before editing that I would reread the draft and be like, "Why is he putting up with this?"
yeah.
But he just really didn't understand her heartbreak, and rightfully so, because she didn't
Hmm.
tell anyone, not even us, the readers. So
Yeah.
really, Farah has a lot of autonomy and a lot of agency in how she carries this story. She's the one who's showing us little by
Hmm.
little what's going on, and she's a very broken woman. And
Hmm.
how she comes through it in the end
Yeah.
is, to me, inspiring. I could only hope that I could say that I would go through something that difficult with so much grace.
Was this small town that the book is set in? Was that based on a real place?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So this book actually started out when it first went on submission from my agent. It started out being called A Mayberry Second Chance because
Oh,
it's
okay.
on Mayberry, and the town in the book was Mayberry,
Oh, okay.
which is based on a real town of Mount Airy, which is 10 minutes up the road from me. It's basically my hometown. My dad lives there. We do all our grocery shopping there. We're there every weekend. So it's like, I would call it my hometown adjacent, right? Hometown area. And it's a great small town. If you ever come to North Carolina to visit, of course, Mayberry is famous from the Andy Griffith Show. And
Hmm.
that fandom is aging out. That show is, it's still available some places to watch, but eventually those fans will no longer be with us, and it won't be the main source of fame for that town. So I decided to give it a little revival, but editors didn't like that. They felt it was too cutesy for the heavy topics of the book, and I agreed. So Jenny Hale and
Mm.
I came up with the new name for the town, and I think Mount Airy residents, Surrey County, Stokes County residents, you'll see winks of Mayberry still in the book, but
Hmm.
very, very nuanced.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, my favorite quote from the I like to always read like an expert if I have it. I love it in romance novels when the writers can develop a sense of touch
Mhm.
between the couple, especially clean romance because they're so limited in what
Yes,
they can show. But when you get just like a little handhold or a little like, I think that's very romantic. But I really like this. She said, she climbed the gate and placed her hands lightly on Abbott's shoulders, not missing the firm and warm feel of him under his shirt. He grabbed her waist and helped her hop down on the grass, letting her go right away. Necessary touches, Farah told herself. She needed help getting down.
yes,
I
that's
like it.
right.
Necessary touches.
Yep, she's like, he had to do that.
Yeah.
He needed to do that. And I think we can all relate to that giddy feeling. I mean, me with my husband, I remember the first handhold or the first time,
Yeah.
the shoulder brush, or oh my gosh, did he really mean that? Or whatever. So, and
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
can all kind of relate to people we've dated or whatever in those cute moments.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's so important in like building the romantic tension is those just like little moments.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
totally agree with that.
It must be fun to write those kinds of scenes.
It is fun for me. And I like
Mhm.
the clean romance genre because of that. Because it's kind of like in Pride and Prejudice, Darcy's hand flex. Do you know what
Mhm.
I'm talking
Oh yeah, 2005.
about?
Yeah.
That hand flex is everything because they just touched hands
Yeah.
and he's walking away and he's like, shoo, what did that just do to me? Right?
Yeah.
So those are like the moments I live for because
Yeah.
obviously, Pride and Prejudice is extremely closed door. The European version, by the way, doesn't even have the kissing at the end
Oh really?
at all.
Yeah.
Last scene is the dad saying, you know, send in other suitors for my other daughters. I have other daughters to marry. That's the last.
Oh,
So
interesting.
the American version added all the kissing, which is not Austen like at all.
Yeah.
So I feel free having those confines because I know my romance culmination moment is a kiss or an implication that
Yeah.
maybe there was more, but it's not shown. And that gives me the freedom to build up those touches and looks and glances and shoulder brushes and anything like that.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing about Austen is that her books are romances, of course, but like there's almost no romantic dialogue in her books.
It's so commentary, but it's just so delicious.
Like Emma has the most because they're together the most and back and forth banter.
That one back here.
Yeah. But a lot of times it's so funny in her books when Darcy gets his proposal, she says something like, he said what was appropriate for a man desperately in love. And I'm like, no, I want to know what he said.
Yes, please give us more. And that's where the movies have run wild with it.
Yes. I mean, so many people think that Bewitched line from 2005 is in the book. And it's like, it is not.
No.
That is not in the book.
But I'm so glad that line exists. I love that movie. That's my feel-good movie. I can quote that movie all the time. It's so good. And
do you know this weekend it's back in theaters?
Well, now I have an plan.
Yeah, it's for the 20th anniversary, which is insane.
Okay. Well, I'll need to go hang out with my buddies Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet.
Yeah. I'm going to be there for sure. But yeah, I just think it just draws you in. It's just tantalizing. What can I say when you get those little details?
Yes, absolutely.
And it builds the chemistry.
Which is necessary because I'm sure you've read a romance or two before, just like I have, where they're not together. There's no chemistry. And then we're supposed to believe that they're happily ever after. No, you've got to work them together and have that arc there. It's really important.
Yeah. Well, what would be your pitch to the Hallmarkies listeners? You should read this book. You'll like it. Check it out.
Wow. So this is where my long-winded self struggles. Yeah, you'll read this book. You should like it. Check it out, first of all. Second of all, if you like uplifting, happy endings that are an emotional journey set in a real town, it feels real, the people feel real, it's going to make you warm and fuzzy, and you're also going to feel while you're reading this book, then yes, I would say definitely read it.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Well, we like to end our interviews with some fun get to know you questions. So the first question is, what is the best ice cream flavor?
Chocolate.
Yeah. Okay, good. What is your favorite color?
I don't have one. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah.
I like them all.
You like them all.
Well, I don't like to wear bright purple or sapphire green or blue. Well,
sapphire.
Electric blue, bright green.
Blue.
I don't like to wear those colors, but I like those colors.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. What music are you into?
Oh gosh. So I listen to a lot of 90s country.
Okay.
And Christian radio stations, I'll do those. And I like 80s rock. So a lot of stuff like that. You won't find me listening to pop music from nowadays, though.
Yeah.
I'm not a Swiftie, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, she does have some more country eras.
Yes.
You could check out maybe like that. Okay. What is your go-to date night food?
Ooh, Greek.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. All right. What is your go-to date night activity for going out doing something?
We have a live music place here called Stoco, about 20 minutes away. We enjoy going there.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I think that as long as it's not too loud, like I think that's good because then you can talk and enjoy the music and
Yes.
you get an idea of the vibe.
Yes. And then if we're kind of feeling more introverted, which my husband never is, but if I am, then we'll just find a taco truck and just sit in the park and tacos. We really enjoy talking to each
Good
other.
choice.
So
Yeah.
good date just to hang out and talk.
Yeah. All right. Which do you like better, dogs or cats?
Ooh, I like both. I don't have either, but I'll just say dogs because I've had more dogs in my life.
Okay. Which do you like better, beaches or mountains?
The mountains.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All right. What's your favorite holiday to celebrate?
Ooh, I really like Easter. Yeah, I really do. My family comes over, but also the spiritual meaning for us is important. So it's a cool one.
I think that Easter is an underrated candy holiday.
Yes.
Yeah, really
Absolutely.
good.
The Cadbury eggs are my favorite, the creamy ones. There's nothing like that on the market. It has no comparison. So yeah, that's my jam.
And the Reese's eggs are better than the regular Reese's.
They're better than the Reese's cups. I don't know
they
how
are.
to do that. They taste different. I totally
do. It's true. They really do. All right. What is your favorite Hallmark or romantic movie?
Ooh, well, we said Pride and Prejudice 2005. That would be number one. There's also this old Hallmark movie called The Magic of Ordinary Days.
Okay. Yeah.
And something about that arranged marriage and she's already pregnant and the man's tenderness. Oh my gosh, I could watch it 500 million times and never have enough of it. I love it.
That's a really good one. Yeah, that's that when they used to have the Hallmark Hall of Fame.
Yes.
That's one of those.
And now they don't do historicals anymore. My agent my Victorian series and they're like, sorry, we don't do historical movies. So
oh, it's such a shame because last year they did this Sense and Sensibility and they really tried. And it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. And it completely bombed. It did absolutely terrible. And so it's a bummer because I just wish it had done well to encourage them to not only do an historical, but just to be more ambitious.
Yes.
It's a bummer when ambition isn't rewarded.
Absolutely. And that's, a lot of work goes into those films, but it does feel like we're getting a lot of contemporary stuff from them that's really strong. I've enjoyed a lot of, especially holiday movies. I can't remember the name of them now, but there's one Hanukkah one that I adored. It was so good. It came out 2 years ago.
Oh, the one about the they were matched writing letters.
No, it's like Groundhog Day.
And that one. Yeah, that one was really good too. Good. And Round and Round.
Round and Round.
Yeah.
And then there's been some other ones. Christmas at Biltmore is a masterpiece. I don't know. It was so good. So I could keep going about Hallmark. I love them. I would love it if one of my books would be a Hallmark movie one day. That's on my vision board.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see it happening. For sure. Well, so when does it release?
May 6th.
May 6th.
May 6th. It's on pre-order right now. So for the ebook version.
Great. Well, thanks so much for coming and talking with us. I think people should totally check it out. I'll have the link for the book in the description. And it was so great to get to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much for doing this.
Do you have social media or anything like that you want to share?
I do. I'm on Instagram at Audrey Lancho, and my Facebook is Audrey S. Lancho Author.
We'd like to thank Audrey for coming on the podcast. This was so much fun to get to talk with her. Hope you all enjoy the book. Let me know what you think about it. If you get to read it, what do you think about our interview in the comment section or on Twitter. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes and on Goodreads. So check that out and make sure you check out all of our writer interviews. We have a whole playlist with our author interviews. and check that out. And check out the Hallmarkies podcast all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really, really helps us a lot. And the more ratings and reviews we have on iTunes, the more the algorithm finds us. It just really helps so much. And it's free for you to do. Please, please, please. And then if you are listening or watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We're really trying to get to 10K subscribers. And a lot of our viewers on YouTube aren't subscribers. So if you're in that camp, please, 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 please subscribe. And then we have our Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can support everything we're doing. You get to be part of bonus episodes and our watch alongs and other activities, patron events. It's really worth your while. Check it out. And then we have a merch store where we have lots of fun Hallmark inspired merch. Check that out. And thanks again to Audrey, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.